Hey, we're here with Anberlin. Thanks so much for taking the time, guys. It's great to see you guys again.
Good to see you too.
Dark is the Way, Light is the Place.
Yes.
It's been out since early September.
That's correct.
5th studio record. How does it feel to be touring the record now that it's out and people are probably singing along?
It feels great. It's amazing, yeah. It's a day we waited for a while.
The title's taken from a Dylan Thomas piece, right?
Yes, called Happy Birthday.
And is that something that you guys do? Do you read poems, or was this one particular poem inspirational and you thought you'd grab the line from that specific poem? Or
I'm not an avid poetry reader, you know. I mean, just dabbled with, you know, EE and, you know, the normals. But my friend, who's actually our touring keyboardist, his name's Kyle Flynn. He kind of turned me on to Dylan Thomas, and he's an avid reader of Dylan Thomas. And so I kind of just read through all his works, and Kyle had given me a suggestion, like a page of poems to look out for, and this was one of them. And I felt like that line was just completely adequate, perfect for kind of a good summation of the record itself.
yeah, and the theme of the record really is about love in many ways, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess the give and take of relationship and specifically love around that relationship.
Absolutely.
What inspired that to be, you know, the main theme of the record?
Well, I don't think that I set out to do it that way. I wasn't like I wrote like a heading and was like, okay, everything has to fall under this subcategory of
Right.
love. It's more, I just kind of write from the heart, whereas whatever I'm dealing with around, you know, I look at the world around me, whether it's what I've read or people that I've met or talked to or relationships or friendships or anything like that. And I kind of just pull from that. And so I guess it was just everything that was going on, you know, around me.
Record came together pretty quickly. I remember reading online that you were going in studio back in March, and it's out already in like, what, 8 months?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Brendan O'Brien was along for the ride. How did you guys hook up with Brendan?
He actually hooked up with us. He contacted our management, and our management contacted us. I'm like, hey, what do you guys think about Brendan O'Brien? And we were like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
What do you mean? Is that even an option? And I think he was introduced to us through his daughter, and just knew, I think, through the grapevine that we were looking to do another record. He wasn't even on any of our lists for producers. Like, we didn't even think that was like attainable. So it was pretty amazing when he came on board.
The record itself seems to have I don't want to say denser because that just seems like heavy, but it's definitely a more lush soundscape. Is that something that Brendan specifically brought to the table, or is that ideas that you guys had, and, you know, luckily Brendan was able to fill in the spaces?
I think it's all of the above. I remember sitting down very early on in the process, probably right when we began to write songs, and just say, okay, here's kind of the direction we're aiming for. You know, if everybody just aims for this way, you know, I think we'll accomplish it. But, you know, I think, you know, Christian and Joey can speak more on, like, as far as the musical aspect of it.
Brendan was very big on taking everything kind of the next level. How can we make this go over the top? And he was very big on getting all of that naturally and not relying heavily on a lot of keys and synth and stuff like that. So we got to play around with a lot of instrumentation that, like, you know, we hadn't even thought of to give every single song its own personality and really expand everything about each song.
One thing we really liked about Brendan, you know, and just a lot of the records that he's done, is that he could take just a guitar, bass, and drums and make it sound huge, you know, like Rage, or, you know, there's not a lot of layering, it's just very minimal instrumentation, but it just sounded so gigantic, and that's, you know, one thing we told him we were really interested in doing.
Marks a new chapter probably in your lives, because this is you know, your 5th record, but it's a very mature record compared to the others, and I think that has a lot to do with not the layering necessarily, but the instrumentation, and, you know, where there's gaps, there's extra guitars and stuff like that. Do you guys feel that way about this record, that it's your next step, sort of?
Absolutely. You know, I think if we all looked back at prior records and we pointed out the songs that we loved, I think they would be the closest to what is happening on Dark is the Way, you know? And so I felt like this one solidified the direction for Anberlin. It's not that were directionless before, but we always tried to pursue the best songs before. You know, we would look at through everything that we had recorded and picked out the best songs to be on the record. I felt on this one, we looked at all the songs and said, what's best for the album? You know, not just what's best for, what's the best song. It's like, what's going to complete this album? And so I definitely think this is more mature on many fronts.
Let's talk about the record, because it is a full record. It's not like you guys produced a couple singles and threw them up and then added some filler, but really,
Right.
Unlike a lot of rock records that are coming out now, it is a complete record, and your fans have reacted positively buying them in a day where people aren't buying a lot
Right.
of records.
Yeah.
You sold like 30,000 records out of the gate. That's impressive. Do you think that has to do with people getting a handle on the record, or just that your fan base is so big now that people want the next Anberlin record and are willing to pay for it?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. I think that, the songs that we were able to put out, we gave away a free song. We, let 2 songs, be streamed online. And I think out of those 3 songs, I think people were like, okay, I get it. I get the record. It's not going to be, it's not, well, because this is our second major album. I think people were scared it's going to be another sophomore slump. Is this basically, are we going to have to relive that? And so I thought for our fans, like, they very much rallied around the album, early on. And I think that's what I have to attribute to it.
Impossible's a single at radio right now. It's doing really well in the United States, but you're also getting exposure on NBC football, right? Sunday Night Football,
Yeah.
and the X Games on ESPN. What's more rewarding for you guys, having a hit single or the song being used on like NBC football broadcasts? I mean, that's huge.
I think even more than both those things, the most rewarding is getting done with that record and listening to it over and just being being able to like go to sleep that night, just knowing that like, man, we wrote the best record. Because you can't as a band measure your success based on like numbers or placements or singles, because there's been a lot of bands that have gotten massive on horrific songs,
Yeah.
So for us, it's more like, wow, we put everything we had into this record,
Right.
and and we love it, and we feel like it's the best thing that we've ever put out. And I think that's where you have to stop. That's where you have to stop measuring. You can't say, okay, well, if this doesn't chart, then we're a failure, or the album's a failure. You have to chart it. You have to look at yourself and go, is this the best that we could do ever? And we all feel that it is. And so I don't think that we can look at numbers anymore to determine success.
You guys are touring, obviously, in support of the record, and how long does that tour go? Is your destiny filled for the next year or so?
It sure feels like it.
Yeah.
Yep. Basically, our next real break starts December 16th.
Wow.
So we've been on for over a month now. So but that's what any band that believes in what they have, and
Right.
they believe in their art, and that's what any band that wants to stick around for another record has to do. You have to put in the time.
Cool. What are you guys listening to in the bus when you're not listening to your own record?
A lot of Motown.
A lot of Motown every morning. It's been good.
It's like the morning music.
It's a good way to wake up.
National.
The Nationals
Yeah.
is the record of the year for me, for sure.
Joey and I were rocking some Sun the other day. He was really
I
enjoying
really
that.
want you to turn that off. Before you turn it on. Just got the new Kings of Leon.
Right.
Uh,
All you Southern rockers, right? Band
Yeah.
of Horses, Kings of Leon,
Yeah.
you guys. Is there something in the water down south that, south of the Mason-Dixon line? that we
Fluoride.
should- Fluoride?
Florida. Him too.
Florida.
Him too. I don't know. I'm hoping that there's like a beginning of a resurgence of rock. Whether it's Southern rock or just rock music, it would be nice to take back over the airwaves for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Enough of the Katy Perrys of the world and.
I like.
You said it,
nothing
not
bad
us.
to say.
Right.
Nothing bad
No.
to say.
I'm just saying
We're
it's
just
nice
not
to hear some
disagreeing.
guitar, right?
It is
That's all
nice.
I'm saying.
It is
It's
nice.
nice to hear guitar, drums, and bass
Absolutely.
as opposed to, some auto tune.
Absolutely.
Let's put it that way, right?
Sure.
For sure.
Cool. Thanks so much for taking the
Oh,
time,
you got
guys.
it.
Really appreciate
Amazing.
it. I really enjoyed the record, actually.
Thank you
And,
very much.
The last 2 tracks, Dazed and what were they?
Depraved.
Depraved. Yeah, sorry. And
Down.
Down. Both,
Yep.
I think, are solid songs.
Oh, thank you very
Down
much.
is a crossover. I mean, that should be a hit at pop radio.
Thank
too.
you. Thank you very much.
So thanks a lot, guys, for taking the time.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Explore Music wears English Laundry apparel.